The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 485. Mr. Samich.
Oh, we got to go back to it. Del Mar, huzzah, baby. Let's go.
My goodness, if you had a better weekend than Mike Samich, well, there's 10 people that had maybe a slightly better weekend than Mike Samich, but only 10 because you had yourself one hell of a weekend at Del Mar. We'll get into that, but buddy, what a weekend we had. Just when things were starting to get a little complacent in the world of horse racing. Forte comes along, and he's the talk of the town again. This is going to be a fun show.
Oh, and there goes Magic. That's a bump. Oh, and you're back.
Did I go away? Where'd I go?
You were replaced by the spinning wheel of death for a second there.
Oh. Well, you want me to do that over again? I'll do that over again. If you had a better weekend at Del Mar, there's only 10 of you that did. Mike Samich had himself one hell of a weekend, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Forte, talk of the town. We got a lot to talk about today, buddy. It's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, look, two completely different tracks in Saratoga and Del Mar. The debate rages on about which is better. It's been interesting to be at both of those tracks back-to-back weekends and get to experience both of them. However, very different experience, right? Saratoga, there with the family, hanging out in the backside, having a blast at Saratoga, and then going to Del Mar and be able to hang out with the Hoffmans and sit in their box. It's like in between the 16th hole and the finish line on the 4th floor, so just a beautiful view of the races and the scenery, because Del Mar, the scenery is definitely part of the experience. So really cool to be at both tracks back-to-back. Great to have the stars come out too. I mean, just phenomenal when you have these big time races. People can bang on the fields of Saratoga being 4 horses, 5 horses, but there are Breeders' Cup quality horses in every one of those races and winning every one of those races. And so you kind of have to respect that. And you made a great point last Thursday. When stakes races are 250,000, 200,000, you have allowances sitting there for 140. There's not going to be as many people taking shots into those stakes races, especially when you have an Elite Power, a Forte, a Gunite, a Saudi Crown waiting for you in those spots. And so the fields for those graded stakes are phenomenal fields, just not as deep as you like. And then on the other side of that, I mean, Del Mar, man, like just wildly difficult fields in and out. I mean, the pick 6 was near impossible to hit, especially the way it played out here for the mandatory payout on Sunday. In every single field, you're sitting there with a 3-1 favorite, and it's just a very difficult betting card, but great racing as well. So 2 completely different experiences, both phenomenal, both beautiful tracks. You got to get out to both and experience them for yourselves. But what a weekend for the stars to come out and play, man. And that Forte, obviously, with everything that happened there at Saratoga, the inquiry, the bumping at the top of the stretch, and what I think was probably the more questionable one, the Saudi Crown bump right before the wire, which was what I think actually mattered more than the stretch run. Very interesting race, lot to dissect, and a lot of people with opinions on it as well.
Yeah, the things had gotten a little quiet in terms of the comments section and Facebook and the YouTube comments. Yeah, and then Forte and the Jim Dandy happened, and it's like the Bob Baffert video that Aaron did a few weeks ago. When Churchill Downs announced that they were going to suspend him again, everybody has an opinion and they want it out there. So, and that's great. I mean, that's what we're here to do with this show as well. If you've got an opinion, put it in the comments section. Love to hear from you. If you're catching us on the replay, put it in the comment section anyway. We'll still go back and forth with you on YouTube. But yeah, we're going to cover the 4 big races from Saturday, 2 at Saratoga, 2 at Del Mar. You summarized it perfectly. The stars were out at Saratoga. You had some good-looking, some California stars, we'll call them, at Del Mar, and they all went down, and there were some big efforts there. So lots to talk about. Let's get into it, buddy. Riders up! All right, Mike, first race we'll talk about here, the Alfred G. Vanderbilt Handicap, race 8 at Saratoga, July 29th. And a few races before this, the tracks went from fast and firm to sloppy and off the turf. Aaron Halterman was there all weekend. He said the rain wasn't too bad if you were in the stands, but it definitely looked bad if you were watching it on TV. You had a huge showdown here between Elite Power and Gun Knight, and you see from the odds here with the chart, Elite Power, $1.10 favorite. Gun Knight got hammered, Mike, down to $1.20, and I was pretty surprised about that when I was watching, or beforehand. And then when you see the performance they both put in, and that Elite Power just gets him by a head, it made perfect sense. 6 1/4 lengths clear of third place. Dean delivers. Aaron Halterman gave out the Stone Cold trifecta on the preview, by the way. So congrats to him. But when you saw this race, Mike, what were your thoughts about Elite Power and Gunite?
Just two superstars banging heads, right? And we know Gunite loves Saratoga. He was phenomenal up there last year. We know Steve Ashe can get a sprinter good, and that's what Gunite is right now. And I thought they both ran exceptionally well here. You got to give Tyler Gaffleone a tip of the cap here too. I love the ride on Gunite to really force the issue around the turn, get the lead, and make Elite Power run him down. And Elite Power did just that. He ran him down with a much worse trip, had to go wide on that second turn, was 3 or 4 wide. Didn't look like he was going to do it. I didn't think Elite Power was going to get there midway through the stretch. And then you kind of see him turn his head. He sees Gunite, and he's like, nah, I'm coming. And that's exactly what he did. And like, one of the cool things, no matter what you say about Forte and Elite Power, these two horses like to win. I mean, sometimes you talk about horses having heart. Elite Power and Forte both have heart. They don't like to lose. And when they see someone in front of them, they go get them. And that's exactly what Elite Power did here in the final 16. He went and got Gunite because Gunite didn't slow down or back up. This was Elite Power just rolling on by.
Yeah, you look at the chart here on the screen showing the fractions, and when Gunite took the lead away from Dean Delivers and tried taking off, he went 11.73 seconds. And then the final furlong there, 12 seconds flat coming home. They're in the slop. This isn't a fast highway kind of a track. They were in the slop. And if you bet Gunite, if you were a fan of Gunite, this Chris Mellon said, God, this was an expensive photo. If you played the reverse exacta Gunite over Elite Power, until the 16th pole or maybe even inside, you had to have just been sitting there screaming, I'm going to get. Oh, God damn it. Elite Power, just too good. And I thought you nailed it. That he just loves to win. That's 8 straight wins now. Since he broke his maiden, he has not lost, and he just keeps winning and winning and winning. The defending Breeders' Cup Sprint champion is looking better at age 5 somehow. So if you're in the sprint division, you've got to be sitting here going, how am I supposed to beat this horse? The only thing I think that stops Elite Power at this point, Mike, is some sort of trip trouble where maybe he draws the rail and a bunch of horses end up boxing him in. And I think that's the only way that he could be stopped. Though in the next race we'll talk about, that doesn't stop the jockey that he's got aborted from getting the horse out and going. So maybe he just can't be stopped.
No, it doesn't. And when you look back at the sprints of past, a lot of the elite sprinters are gate to wire sprinters, right? So you're guaranteed he's going to get the setup again in the Breeders' Cup. There's going to be speed in the Breeders' Cup sprint. I'm going to go out on a limb and guarantee that right now. There'll be a couple horses that want the front, and that sets up wonderfully for Elite Power, who has exceptional tactical speed and then can run you down late. And that is what makes a great sprinter. And you look here at the weights too. He's carrying 126. 124 on Gunite, no one else over 120. That'll all be even weights at the Breeders' Cup. That's the other advantage that Elite Power is going to have as they get deeper and deeper into the season. You're running at level weights versus running at higher weights for horses that have won more. So, Elite Power is going to be ultra difficult to beat in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. It will probably take some type of trip. Now, he is a closer, so you're more likely to get a tough trip because of that. But this horse just runs you down. And it's going to be tough to beat him. And Santa Anita is a track where I don't think it's going to bother him much. That's the only thing that you then point to is hey, is he not going to like California? He's going to have shipping issues. Guess what? He's had no trouble shipping. That's not a problem for Elite Power. So to me, this is going to be one of the divisions where there's a couple horses that, yes, they could definitely jump up and come after Elite Power, but I don't see anyone going gate to wire in the sprint. And that means it's going to be someone who has to have a Gunite-esque running style that's going to then be able to hold him off, and that's going to be a tall task come Breeders' Cup Saturday.
His trainer, Bill Mott, once again, Bill Mott on his birthday is Saratoga. That angle. I mean, this is not a huge stretch, right, when he's the even money favorite in Elite Power, but it is the angle is back. We're back on the Bill Mott, and I think 18 out of the last 27 years, Bill Mott has won at least one race on his birthday, and that's without counting the dark days when it was like a Tuesday. Back in the day, Saratoga used to run 6 days a week. They didn't run Tuesdays. That was the off day for everybody. Maybe his birthday landed on a Tuesday every once in a while, and he didn't get a chance to win at Saratoga on his birthday. But you go back to 2011. When he won the Breeders' Cup Distaff and the Classic in the same year. He's looking like he could easily have a Breeders' Cup double again with the Sprint, and then with the Classic was Cody's Wish. Now, we still need to see Cody's Wish in the Whitney Stakes this weekend, but that's another horse like Elite Power and Forte who he loves to go after horses. He knows how to win. Speaking of Forte, let's head over to 2 races later here. The Jim Dandy Stakes, and only a field of 5. This was one that The comments section, I love it. Everybody thinks that they're absolutely right or wrong about this. I gave my opinion on it over youtube.com/racingdudes in the analysis for this race, and I was recording and giving my live analysis of the replays as they were happening, the steward's view. What do you think about this race, and specifically, should there have been any kind of a disqualification one way or another? You even referenced a Saudi Crown bump late.
Yeah, so whether or not you think there should be a DQ for what Forte did to Angel of Empire, that is not a foul in New York. And that's one of the reasons why IRAD does that. And we talk about specifically what IRAD done. And look, Jose got 3 days, Pratt got 3 days. This is normal in New York, that if you're on the top of the stretch, if you're in the inside, you can bump your way out, and they're not going to take you down, especially in a grade 1. So I understand there was contact. I don't think it helped that Saudi Crown came out a path or two at the top of the stretch as well, which kind of forced Forte to continue to try and force his way out. But in New York, they don't take you down for that. Now, whether or not it's a foul is a completely different conversation. But I can tell you, for every one example of a horse coming down for bumping their way out at the top of the end of a turn, I can give you 10 examples where they don't come down in New York for that. In grade 1s, it's even more, it's less likely to happen, right? So I wasn't surprised he didn't come down for the contact between the 2 and the 5 at the top of the stretch. I also think the 5 was never running better than the 3rd here. I don't think Angel of Empire was ever getting past Forte and Saudi Crown. So that also takes away the effect of, oh, well, it cost positioning. It didn't cost Angel of Empire anything here, right? The bump at the wire, I'm surprised there isn't more conversation about, because it was a little head bob up and down. And after coming out, Forte then did come back in, and there was contact, and it was Forte who created the contact against Saudi Crown. That, to me, if you want to make an argument that Forte should have come down, is the part where you can argue that it should have been 4-2 instead of 2-4. I'm not surprised it didn't change. I think that this could have gone either way. I think that it would have been 4-2 or 2-4. I don't think the 2 should have ever been put behind the 5. But it's, the thing is like I said, they let you do that in New York. And the problem is, after IRAD riding there for 10 plus years, he knows he won't get taken down for it. He may get days for it, but he's not going to get taken down. And so if you want to eliminate this, you need to start taking horses down, because then that resets the rules, right? We always talk about in basketball how you want a fair whistle. Just the same thing at the start of a game as this penalty or the foul is the same thing at the end of a game. That's kind of what we're getting in New York right now. That's never coming down in New York. And so if that's the case, you can't fault IRAD for doing it, because he's not getting penalized for doing it, right? So to me, the contact between Forte and Angel of Empire is unfortunately, again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it is a standard thing in New York that's not going to get you taken down. As someone who picked Saudi Crown, I was a little upset that Forte didn't go behind Saudi Crown because of the bump at the wire, because when it's that close, any contact makes the difference to me. And I do think that it made a difference between how Saudi Crown was running that final, it was probably 32nd of a mile, because it was that late that the bump happened. That being said, I'm not surprised there was no change. I think this was a coin flip decision. And in a coin flip decision in a grade 1, grade 2, rarely are you seeing horses come down. So the outcome didn't surprise me. I think if you're going to do anything here, you make it 4-2-5. And I don't think, I understand there was a ton of contact between the 2 and the 5, between Forte and Angel of Empire, but that's not a foul in New York. It just isn't. And so that's where I think the other problem is that we don't have a standard set of rules here, because in Kentucky and California, Forte is much more likely to come down for doing that. But in New York, he's not. And so that also really makes it tough for gamblers, because if you're just playing Saratoga, you don't play Belmont, you don't play Aqueduct, you don't see it all the time, you don't know that. And so that makes the differing set of rules at different tracks and different jurisdictions can make it tough on people, especially as inquiries, especially if you had Angel of Empire and you think that really cost him a run, especially if you had Saudi Crown and you think that if he doesn't get out, Saudi Crown wins the race easy. So a lot of people can be upset here because of who they bet, and it ends up Forte taking the money. But all that being said, a really good effort from Forte too, right? I was really impressed with him running down Saudi Crown late, who I thought was gone because of the fractions he set early, and the fact that Forte didn't get a clean trip through at the top of the lane.
I thought that you said it, Chris Mallow says it too. It all sucks because it was wildly unnecessary. Horse was loaded. If IRAD rode him better, it's a non-issue. You know what? I think Aaron said this to me this morning. It's impressive that Irad managed to get that horse boxed in a 5-horse race, and Disarm was never really part of it. And it really, Hit Show wasn't part of the mix. The funny thing about it, too, with him bumping Angel of Empire, if he just waits until they get right off the turn, Saudi Crown goes 3 lengths out to the outside, and there's a golden rail, and then Forte is going to scoot right up it and probably win by, multiple lengths here. And then today we're talking about, well, Forte just had a dream trip. He's going to lose in the Traverse, and some of us that still want to bet him in the Traverse are going, yeah, keep thinking that. We're gonna unload on Forte in the Traverse Stakes. Listen, there's really a lot of different opinions. Nobody's, I'd say, is really truly wrong. There's so much happened in this race. Let's look forward now for the Traverse Stakes. We did find out from Brad Cox that Saudi Crown is not going to go to the Traverse. This was only his 4th career start. It was his first time at 2 turns. He took a lot out of him for the race. They're going to target the Pennsylvania Derby to mile in the 8th. He's probably going to run into at least one Bob Baffert horse there, so good luck to you. Good luck to you in that race. But Forte going to go to the Traverse. Angel of Empire probably going to the Traverse, and probably Disarm as well. You asked me last week on Dudes Who Bet Daily, over under 1.5 horses out of the Jim Dandy to the Traverse. I said over. I still think that's the case. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree. I think Saudi Crown. This was a late entry, according to we didn't hear Saudi's Crown name coming into the Jim Dandy until really like a week before the race, when it started to pop up that, hey, maybe Saudi Crown's going to fit there, and it was a tactical move by Brad Cox. He knew he was going to have a lone speed horse, right? I don't think you're going to get that same thing in the Travers. I think this was his shot to make that move. And so I understand why Saudi Crown isn't taking a step forward, even though I thought he ran his eyeballs out here, ran really well. Forte and Angel of Empire both make sense moving forward. We'll see what happens with Disarm. A Hit Show, definitely not. I would expect we're going to get 2, maybe 3. I would like to see 3, maybe 4. I think that Hit Show probably isn't as bad as he looked in this race, but the kind of the setup and how it played out made it look much worse for him. So I would like to see, I mean, obviously I want bigger fields, especially in these type of races. I would like to see 4. I think we'll probably get, I'd say you're definitely getting 2. You might get 3, and 4 would be a little bit of a pipe dream.
As Shadi says, the probables for the Traverse are looking incredible. You could have all 3 Triple Crown leg winners facing each other with Arcangelo. We know that's where he's been pointing. Mage off the Haskell. Looks like that's their plan for the Traverse. National Treasure, the Preakness winner, that's going to go to the Traverse. You're going to have all 3 of them. And then the horse that was supposed to be the favorite in the Derby and likely could have been going for a Triple Crown in the Belmont, Forte, he's going to end up probably being your favorite in the Traverse Stakes. The Traverse is shaping up to be an absolutely amazing race, and that'll be, I believe, August 26th at Saratoga. So we'll have plenty more to cover the Traverse on that one, or leading up to the Traverse. It's just a fantastic race. It's shaping up to be definitely going to looking like it'll be more than 5. But even if it's Forte, the 3 Triple Crown winners, and Angel of Empire, still a hell of a 5-horse race. You really couldn't ask for much more out of that.
Well, we've been talking about the Travers and the lead up to it and how phenomenal the race could be. And it looks like you're actually going to get some really good horses. It'll be interesting to see if the field does fill out. If you're going to get, 6, 7 horses, or if you're going to get anyone that wants to take on that group. Because again, it's like, you really want to step up to the plate and take on Forte, Mage, Arcangelo, National Treasure, and Angel of Empire. You got to think your horse is pretty darn good if you think you can hit the board against that group.
And Chris Mallow bringing up a great important point. Fish will be in there Friday night, August 25th at the SPAC, Saratoga Performing Arts Center. You can see Fish Friday night and go see one hell of a horse. I had several amazing horse races headlined by the Traverse Stakes the next day. Let's move on to Del Mar. They had their own set of races that we actually covered on the Pick 5, and congrats to you. You went 4 of 5, I believe, 3 of 5. I don't know. I can't remember if you had Watsonville in the last, but you at least looked pretty good. This one race, this is the one race that knocked you out, and I thought you had it until about the 16th pole. The San Diego Handicap Grade 2 race, number 8 on the card, second leg of the late Pick 5. I had single defunded because I thought, he was going to be he was the classiest horse. I thought he was the best horse in the race. We'll talk about what happened in that one in a bit. Slow down, Andy. What a great performance. I really thought he was going to get it, and out of nowhere, here came Senor Buscador like the train going from Del Mar to Van Nuys on speed. It just was crazy. You were there live. What were your thoughts on this race?
Just tears, man. Just tears. I mean, this cost me the Pick 5. Went 4 out of 5, and I had the 1 and the 6 here in the Pick 5. I had in the tournament, I had $8,000 or $9,000 will pay to defunded, and I had $8,200 will pay to slow down Andy because I used the 2 that we liked a ton in the first race to start out the double with the 2 of them. And I spent 30 minutes counting my money. I thought there was no way Slow Down Andy or Defunded don't win this race. And it's like to the point where when like the 7 started running him down, I turned to Tyler. I'm like, who the hell is the 7? Like, because he just looked like a freight train going by. And yeah, Senor Buscador, I loved you. And then I got off you. And then you do this? Like, come on, buddy. Really? Now is when we're going to do this? Slow Down Andy ran his eyeballs out. I thought it was a really good race. I thought he ran well. We always felt that Senor Buscador could do this. I was surprised this is where he did it. But yeah, like, good on you, Senor Buscador. I wish you hadn't. I wish you could have run second, but like it was a good effort. And Defunded, there's a ton of issues early in that race for him, so you kind of draw a line through this one from the Defunded factor of it. Slow Down Andy, I think, has a shot at taking a step forward from here because he was a little bit worked up first time down the lane, and so you kind of wonder if he can calm down a little bit. Would he have a little more energy there, turning for home? And yeah, obviously the Met Mile was a way too aggressive of a spot there from O'Neill to put Slow Down Andy in. I thought this was a much better spot for him. I look, Brickyard Ride, I'm surprised he wasn't in the sprint. He hit a wall pretty hard when they got to the 16th pole there, and you knew he wasn't going to be able to win. You knew it was just the top 2. And I don't know what to do with Senor Buscador out of this. Honestly, he's the one that's confusing to me. I don't want him at sub 10-1 against this group of forces again, right? So, like, you got to kind of wonder what price you're going to get back on Senor Buscador now. And can he take a step forward off this? That's the other big question. I don't know if the answer is yes or no there, too. So you got to be really price conscious with Senor Buscador moving forward. I think Slow Down Andy probably takes a step forward out of this and gets better. And then Defunded, I think you just draw a line through it. Everyone else in here, not really a ton of interest moving forward.
So it's interesting. This is the local prep for the Pacific Classic, which will be next month, and that's a Grade 1 race going 1.25 miles and a win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think the top 2 horses out of this should be targeting the dirt mile. The Senor Buscador went there last year. Slow Down Andy went there. He was actually 3rd, Slow Down Andy in it last year. A good 3rd behind Cody's Wish and Cyberknife. I think Buscador was 8th in that spot. Buscador was also 8th in this race last year, so he's clearly gotten a little bit better since then. Fantastic to see. Joey Peacock, the owner breeder, good friend of the racing dudes. The Dam Roses Desert was, I believe, 10 for 15, New Mexico bred, and she's turned out Sheriff Brown. She turned out Runaway Ghost. She's had some really great foals. So it's something, especially Aaron and I, every time there's a new Roses Desert foal that's racing, we text each other like, oh my God, he's got a new one in there. So we kind of nerd out about that. Great to see him do it. And for Joey Peacock, for Todd Fincher, great people. Good to see them here. Slow Down Andy, like I said, I think they should both go to the dirt mile. So it'll be interesting where they go for their next start. Slow Down Andy, probably the Pacific Classic is what Doug O'Neill does, takes a shot with him. I think if I'm Fincher and Peacock, Buscador goes to the Pat O'Brien Stakes. That's a 7-furlong, 1-turn race, but it's at Del Mar, and it is a win and you're in for the dirt mile. If I'm those guys, that's where I target with him. Brickyard Ride is a Calbred who got everything his own way. He's a sprinter, and he ran out of gas, and you saw that. Defunded, definitely Pacific Classic. He's thrown up some real clunkers at Del Mar in the past. He's had some good wins. He won the Native Diver Stakes, but that was, November post-Breeders' Cup, so not facing the best of the best anyway. But you would just expect it, as long as he came out of this okay, he'll go to the Pacific Classic. Also, like the Alfred G. Vanderbilt, this is a handicap. He was carrying high weight, 125 pounds. Mile and the 16th probably isn't his best distance. He's probably 1.1 miles to 1.25 miles horse from what we've seen from him. So head there. Do you think maybe the weight played a factor in Defunded, or is this kind of like maybe only Baffert really knows what went wrong here?
I mean, he got out of the gate horribly. I think that was a big part of it. He didn't want to be 5th in this race. He wanted to be sitting 2nd or 3rd, and so that immediately put him behind the 8 ball a little bit. So I think this is a draw line through it for Defunded with me. I'm not going to knock him for this start because of kind of how the race played out. One thing I will say, like when you go down and you look at those splits, which you just covered up with the comment, but if you look at the split, they went 23.27, 24.06, 25.59, 6.59 to come home. That's slow. That's not great for a grade 2. That's what allowed Senor Buscador to really run down, slow down Andy. And so you saw a lot of the top or the forwardly placed horses. I'm not going to say back up, but definitely not make it difficult on a closer like Senor Buscador to be able to fly by.
Well, like I said, we're big fans of the Peacock family and trainer Todd Fincher, so good to see them do well. One more race to talk about from Del Mar on Saturday, race 10, the Grade 1 Bing Crosby Stakes, a win and you're in for the sprint. And hats off to you and to Aaron Halteman. You guys had faith in the Calbred and your boy Hector Barrios on the Chosen Vron. Listen, huge Dr. Scheibel fan. I really wanted to see him get by. He had a wide trip. I don't think even if he didn't have that super wide trip, he was getting by the Chosen Vron, because that horse, for being a gelding, that horse had some serious balls. What was that like to watch live?
It was cool to see him win. Look, Hector Berrios had a weekend too, so that didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him win, just because he's been a state-bred banger. He jumped into open company once, got toasted in that opening company race. So nice to see him come in here and be the newest millionaire in racing as well. Goes over the $1 million earnings mark with this victory too, which is kind of cool for a Calbred who'd really been just winning Calbred stakes. This was an interesting. That was me. Was that me? Yeah, I think that was me too. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you right now. It was a cool race too to watch, and you watch the replay back. There's a lot of trips out of this one that I think you have to take a peek at here, because Chosen Vron, I think it was the 3-horse. I believe it was Totofino who came out a little bit. Chosen Vron then kind of ducks into the 2-horse Spirit McKenna, completely ends his race. Well, he forces American Theorem a mile wide too, and so American Theorem ends up getting a pretty brutal trip. So this is one of those where I think some of the other talented horses didn't get the best trip, and so it helped Chosen Vron out in that spot. I thought Anarchist ran a pretty good race, able to run second. Dr. Scheibel, crazy to me, the price. I couldn't believe he was $1.80 to 1. I thought he should be significantly higher than that in this spot. But this is one where I'm going to go back and watch the replay quite a bit. I don't think I like Spirit McKenna coming into this race. Missed the break, had a ton of trouble in the backstretch. This is a complete line through it for Spirit McKenna. Watch him at a price next time, because if you're able to get somewhere in the 8 to 10 to 1 range, that's going to be a steal, especially if it's this type of group of horses again. But the Chosen Vron went awesome. I love the way he was able to split. I love the way he was able to go. He's going to be onto the sprint. He's going to be at Santa Anita. He loves Santa Anita, so that's a positive for Chosen Vron.
Did we lose Mike again? See, Mike thought it was me. It's not me. You guys let me know in the chat. I think we lost Mike again, right? Is that what happened? There's a 10-second delay on YouTube. I hate this delay. Mike again. Yeah, that's what I thought. While Mike tries to figure out his internet situation, I'll let you know. For me, I agree about American. Totofino had a weird thing where he got a little steadied and bumped. That took out several horses. It made American Theorem go wide. Spirit of McKenna got the worst of that. And I would actually, if you were looking for a horse to play back out of this, Spirit of McKenna is the one for sure. Rob said it was a huge disappointment. Rob, watch the trip, man. That was a horrible effect. And Bravo, I thought, actually got knocked out of the irons for how badly he had to check on that one. So that's what I would take away from there. But definitely would want to play Spirit of McKenna back, scratch this one off completely. American Theorem, he would have had a better effort. I wasn't interested in him in this race anyway, but I think he should at least take a step forward. Kid Corleone outran his odds too. He was 32 to 1, actually the second longest shot on the board. And he absolutely had a shot. He wasn't good enough. Hey, you're back. All right.
Yeah, we switched. I have 2 internet streams in my house. We switched the other provider. We'll see if this works.
All right. I was just talking about Kid Corleone. He outran his odds. He had a decent shot there, but just couldn't sustain it. But Spirit of McKenna, I agree with you. Scratch that one off. It looked to me, watching it live, that Bravo came out of the irons. Like, he had to check so hard on that one. Yep. You talked about Hector Berrios having himself a weekend. He's now the leading rider at Santa Anita, or at Del Mar, with 11 wins. He's tied with Juan Hernandez with the most wins. Interestingly enough, Umberto Rispoli has been in the top 66% of the times that he's been in the saddle. So he is riding very well. But Berrios with a great ride. Anarchist with a great ride. Scheibel, I agree, 9 to 5. No, not in this field. You don't play Dr. Scheibel at 9 to 5 in a 12-horse field.
One of the things I noticed, Rispoli has a little Rosario in him. He likes taking horses back and then making one big run on the turf. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I didn't have any rides I was really upset with him about. But there were a couple horses I was like, oh, we're just going to be in last. That's okay. We're fine with this on the turf. So Rispoli might have a little Rosario take back in him.
As far as the sprint goes, Elite Power very clearly the leader. I'd say Gunite is now shown that he's very clearly a second in that spot. Where would you put the Chosen Vron, Anarchist, Dr. Scheibel? Are they in that second mix? Do you think some of them are a little better or worse? Where do you place them?
I mean, look, the thing with this race is I wasn't a huge fan of Anarchist coming into it because I thought his previous race was kind of propped up by the fact that no one else was in it outside of whoever it was Elite Power that won that race. He ran behind Elite Power, and then nothing else was behind them.
Yeah.
This makes me wonder about the Cal sprinters, right? Like, if it's not Spirit of McKenna, who I still think is like, out of this race, I want Spirit of McKenna over everybody else. Yep. Which is odd because the horse finished last. But to me, that was I'm going out of this. If I'm talking Breeders' Cup Sprint, Spirit of McKenna is the horse that I want. I don't see anyone else in here that's really making a bunch of waves, right? Like, maybe the Chosen Vron can get up to third. Maybe Dr. Scheibel is a show, maybe superfecta round out type horse. I think the only horse that could win the sprint in this field was Spirit of McKenna.
I agree with you on that. Let's move before your internet quits on you. So let's talk about Sunday a little bit. And not only that, were in part of the reason you were at Del Mar. You were part of the 2-day tournament. Had all sorts of big major prizes awarded to the top. I think the top 12. Definitely the winner I saw, which was Christian Helmers. He led after day one, and he kept up a big lead on day two to secure the victory. But you hit the 11th place, and a big reason that you got 11th in the whole tournament for the weekend. It ended in this race. You covered it for racingdudes.com and youtube.com/racingdudes. The Grade 2 Eddie Reed Stakes, race 9 on Sunday's card. You loved Gold Phoenix. You love Hector Barrios, and you've got to love the effort and the performance here.
Yeah. This was I did not do well day one. I had both entries were at $2,400. I went all in on the second race with the 8 horse. It was a horse I really liked. Won at 5-2. That got me up to like $7,000 or so on one of the entries, and didn't have any other scores going into it. The previous race was a maiden race. I liked the 9 and the 7. I played doubles with the 2 of them into Gold Phoenix here, and this turned out to be one of the cooler experiences I've had in horse racing. So Tyler Hoffman, who awesome dude, hung out with him and his dad in their box for the weekend. He knows one of the assistant trainers for the Amato Barn, and this is one of Billy's horses with Little Red Feather as well. And so live to about $10,000 to Gold Phoenix, and just Gold Phoenix in this race. And we walk down, hang out outside the paddock. He meets up with the assistant trainer, so we're walking toward the track, down where the horses walk out toward the track. So we watch the race from that one spot there on the racetrack, and I'm like, Gold Phoenix, when you watch this back, just trips out. I mean, just phenomenal trip for Gold Phoenix. Sits on the inside on the first turn, makes a move around the second turn, able to get the lead, and really never in doubt once they got to the 8th pole or so. And I'm just jumping up and down, screaming. We're high-fiving, having a great time. And she's like, come on. Walks us right down to the winner's circle. So we're both in the winner's circle photo for Gold Phoenix. I'm like, I just win $10,000. We're high-fiving. Now a shot in the tournament. Just a phenomenal racetrack experience. One of those things you don't get very often. And what a great effort from Gold Phoenix. We talked about this horse after winning. I think it was a Kilroy Mile that he won, 4 back or 3 back now. And Billy and Little Red Feather always said he wanted longer, and they were surprised he ran that big off that layoff. Well, now he got a little bit longer and just, again, tripped out and set up wonderfully for him. You see the fractions here. Came home in 23.66, 11.89, so running sub-12s coming home. I thought Balnikov ran a great race trying to run him down, but just Gold Phoenix was too good in this spot. And 4.5 to 1, great price. Hopefully people cashed on it off the video on the YouTube page. And it was a lot of fun to close out a $10,000 double, watching the race from right there, being in the winner's circle, and really not having to sweat it. That was the other nice part. Gold Phoenix didn't make me sweat this very much.
I'm going to see if I can actually find it. I didn't think about it until just now, but I should have a picture of the winner's circle. Let me see if I can find it in the email. Speaking of which, while I look for that, you talked about how great the Hoffmans are, and they truly are some of the nicest people to meet in horse racing. Last year, on Father's Day weekend, I was at San Diego Park and it was the first time I took Colston to the racetrack, and Doc brought his daughter there, and we got to do the same thing here. If you remember this, there's Tyler's right there holding Doc's daughter, which, they actually trust him to hold your kid. But yeah, the same thing. This is the assistant trainer, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember her name, and I wish Doc was in the chat because he knows. But she is the wonderful human who did the same thing. We got to watch this race. I did not have $10,000 on the line. It was just a fun race to watch from the winner's circle and then go be part of the photo there. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Now, going back to this race, this might have been the first time in Del Mar history that a big graded stakes race, the trainer goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Phil D'Amato had 4 horses. They all make the superfecta, and kind of true to the Chad Brown angle that I see Dennis calling him Chad D'Amato or Phil Brown. the favorite was fourth in here. And Count Again, you were right on the feed to say, or on the preview to say, I can't play this horse as the favorite off of that long of a layoff. As Cash LA Surf says, yeah, even money off a 15th month layoff in this spot, no thank you. So good call.
And the thing is like the last 3 races from Count Again probably would have won this race, but those were 18 months ago. It is a demanding spot to ask him to come back and be able to get the job done. Probably better at a mile as well versus the distance. I think it was a mile and an eighth, mile 16th, one of the two. So when you look at this, it's really hard to get excited by him. And 3-1, I would have been like, okay, that's a reasonable price. You knew you weren't getting 3-1 though, and that's what we saw here, where he gets bet down to 9-5 in this spot, and that's just too short of a price for a horse coming off that long of a layoff. Especially, like, it kind of tips the cap when D'Amato puts 4 in here. If he thought Count Again was just going to roll, you're not putting 4 in here, right? Maybe you put 2, but like 4 just kind of shows you, okay, I think all these horses are doing pretty well. All of them have a shot in this spot. And Gold Phoenix is one of those horses. Look, Barrios, great jockey. I think I would still say for my money, he's the best jockey right now at Del Mar, specifically on that turf course. And we've talked about him when he was in Florida, loved him there. Look, this to me is one of those spots where he just set a perfect trip. He was able to guide the horse exactly where he needed to be and get the jump on everybody. You got to give a hat tip to D'Amato, though. I mean, just a phenomenal job of training. And it's not like there was no one else in here. Like Daisimo, Chara, McKinnon, Cabo Spirit, all pretty good horses. So it's not like you're just, this is a field of nothings that they ran behind. So great job by D'Amato, get it, John. Done. Great job by Gold Phoenix not making me sweat. I appreciate him making it look easy here.
I found it. Here's the winner's circle photo for the Eddie Reed Stakes, and I started laughing because I immediately saw you. Let's zoom in a little bit here. What's going on with the head bob there? You're over, or you know what it is? It's $10,000 weighing you down on one side, wasn't it?
Rocking the head tilt pretty quick. There were so many photos being taken. As you can see, everyone doesn't know when it's going to happen because, I'm head tilting. We got 2 people with their back to it, 3 actually there. You got someone covering their eyes from the sun. Like they just start snapping photos. You have no clue which one is happening. I think I'm probably talking to Tyler right there because my mouth is open too, so I'm probably leaning over and saying something. So these winner's circle photos are not all that well choreographed, especially with when you have a group as big as it was. If you zoom out, there's a massive amount of people that were in this photo as well. So it's not something where you say, hey, right here, everybody, 1, 2, 3, say cheese, right? It's just snap, 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 and then they're going to take one of them.
Yeah, the kind of like with Mike Rapoli with Forte and the Jim Dandy. Everybody that Billy Koch knows, that the guy that runs Little Red Feather, which is right here, everybody he knows that's at Del Mar that day, he just starts grabbing you and throws you into the winner's circle. So another great guy, great to see. And just one more time, I want to pull this up, or one more time. I haven't pulled this up yet. Look at that. Mike Samich, number 11. This came from the official email from Del Mar. So $11,200, a big reason is because of Gold Phoenix there. So congratulations. Did you get actually was there any prizes or just a cash prize payout for it?
I got top 12 paid cash, so I think I got $4,000 in cash too. But it's one of those things. Again, I had $2,400 on the entry coming in the second day. Just wanted to give myself a shot, and I wish I had liked the last race more. The Hoffmans absolutely were dead on the 4-horse, and I didn't have the 4-horse at all going into the day, and it was hard for me to pivot from not liking a horse at all to betting $12,000 on that horse, which is what I would have needed to do to really shoot up the leaderboard. So I took it easy late. The 3-hour drive home today were definitely permutations in my head of how this could have gone differently, because I liked the 6 who was 20-1 who ran behind the 4 in the last race. So if I had played that exacta, I could have won the whole thing. So they were definitely second guessing, but that's part of tournaments. You kind of second guess yourself. But it was a blast, man. I love the ones where you only can be live because the tournament room is absolutely buzzing. I love it when you get there and you're able to just kind of come hang out. It's just so much fun to see everybody. It's so much fun to be at the track. And I gotta give a shout out to Michael Olson as well, who hooked me up with a Wolfie's Dynaghost saddle thing. Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
Saddle cloth. Sure. We'll pull Mike down because Mike's camera will follow him when he leaves. It's kind of creepy to watch. Curtis Manlow with the hilarious comments. Samich will probably end up 7th or 8th officially a year from now after some DQs. That was good. That made me laugh pretty good. Oh, it's a halter.
The Wolfie's Dynaghost saddle halter from Kentucky. So that arrived as well. So shout out to Michael Olson there for the little Wolfie's Dynaghost. Oh,
that's pretty.
So I got to figure out how to get that on the wall and hang it up. Obviously, one of the horses that I've absolutely loved. We talked about him quite a bit on the Maggie Mike show, and probably one of the main reasons I finished 7th in NHC a few years back. So I'll always remember Wolfie's, who's a fool to Sadler's joy, but actually likes winning.
and likes running ahead of horses until, before the last like 3 jumps of a race there. That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us to go through Saratoga and Del Mar. Thanks for all of your comments on the Forte Jim Dandy situation. If you're catching this on replay, throw it down in the comments section. We are not done. We won't be done with this for a long shot, and I'm sure on Blinkers Off Thursday that Aaron and Jared are going to have their own takes on it as well, so make sure you tune in for that one. Over at racingdudes.com, we're not done. It's still heating up. We've got already the previews for Saratoga on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Hall of Fame Stakes. Aaron just did the preview for that. Nazarok, a good friend of the Magic Mike Show as well. Horses still never...
Winner.
Nazarok's never finished off the board in 11 starts. I'm laughing because Curtis Manlow saw the halter and he said, "That's horse equipment? My wife has one of those." Oh, that's fantastic. By the way, Dr. Tane did say Julie is the wonderful woman who is the assistant trainer for Phil D'Amato, who's been helping us all out. So that is Julie. Thank you very much, Doc. He remembered it. So that's great. But go to racenews.com. Previews for every race, every track. Picks for every race, every track across the country. Curtis Manlow's got me all thrown off here now. Previews for all of the major stakes races, and we've got a hell of a weekend coming up. We've got, of course, the Whitney Stakes. With that comes the Test Stakes, the Saratoga Derby, the Saratoga Oaks, the Glens Falls Stakes on Thursday with Warlike Goddess going for her 3rd straight win in that race. You've got the Clement L. Hirsch Stakes at Del Mar. That's a Breeders' Cup winner for the Distaff. So many big races, so many big name horses, plenty of days to talk about it. So please join us next time. We'll be back on Thursday with a preview. We'll figure out Saratoga Del Mar, whichever one has the better looking card. I think we were correct to go with Del Mar, even though we didn't hit it, because we both said if Elite Power and Forte both win, what's the point in playing this sequence right now?
Also, it was wildly frustrating too, because the rains came before the pick 6, so they take everything off the turf before the pick 6, and just trying to scramble and play rework the pick 5 when you have all these horses off the turf. By the way, pick 5 paid phenomenal. The late pick 5, even with those two, but I don't think either of us get into the one horse. It was like 23-1. I think it's Jackie Davis's 3rd winner, Katie Davis's 3rd winner now at Saratoga.
Katie,
It was definitely the right move. And one thing I got to say, after being at both tracks, the weather at Del Mar really gives it an advantage. Like when they get full fields, it's hard to argue that Saratoga is better than Del Mar because you're never off the turf. You got like 5 scratches every day. It's not that much from a scratch perspective, and the fields are phenomenal when they're full. So if you get full fields, I think Del Mar has a case against Saratoga, especially if you're a bettor.
I was Saturday, I think like early afternoon, I kept refreshing thinking I cleared the cookies, cleared the cache. I was like, something's wrong with my computer. There are no scratches at oh wait, it's Del Mar, it's not Saratoga. That's what it is. That's pretty awesome. We'll be back on Thursday morning as well for Dudes Who Bet Daily every Thursday through Sunday, so come get our best bets. We still have a positive ROI. I don't know what it is, but we do have a positive ROI for the year right now with horse racing, Major League Baseball picks given out and discussed daily. Yes, as I think Mike said that. He said the scenery was great at Del Mar. That may have been what he was talking about because he got to see his lovely wife at Del Mar. That's what he was referencing there. So great. Thanks so much for joining us. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kellard. He is at SummerBomb18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Any last words before we get out of here, buddy?
I love this month. It's a blast. It's so much fun to have Saratoga and Del Mar both go. And it's nice that I've struggled with Saratoga, but Del Mar has been phenomenal. Over 10K in cashes now in 2 weekends on the bombs at Del Mar. So we just got to keep that rolling, baby. To the point where even on Sunday, I'm like, screw this. I'm not putting Saratoga up because I have no idea what this track is going to play like. And then we went ahead and nailed the early pick 5 at Del Mar. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, you had a couple of nice ones. We got some nice emails from people saying that they're so excited that they bought the Samo Bombs because you were doing well. Rockets didn't as well, but the Samo Bombs did this weekend. So check that out at racingnews.com. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week, everybody.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by racingdudes.com.